time around. But yeah, I gotta admit, while you're a bit relieved, I'm a bit disappointed because there's nothing that's really that crazy when it comes to the champions. When it does come to the teams, though, this is like a really big game. This is probably the game that I was looking forward to the most because Vanir is about to prove to us whether they actually are a top contender in this league, because yes, they're 3-0 so far, but I don't think with the opponents that they've been playing against, that's enough of a proof to say that they should be a top contender in this league. I think if they win today, though, they are a top contender.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's a case of they've been going through the motions. Their competition has been getting harder and harder, I would say. And Vanir have been looking better and better as they go on. And while they've given themselves some questions in this draft, the bot lane is certainly one that stands out to me. They've got some real power here as well. And you look at the Viego Noodle on this champion, it's a champion who's had so much success in the NLC so far, and is generally just so powerful. If he can get this one going, it could be a massive game changer for his team. And whether he'll be able to do so is going to be a big question, but Bifrost is going to get some vision on him and back away into their own jungle.
Yeah, keep your eyes on Noodle this game, because on Monday, I think he was 6-0 or something like that on a Xin Zhao, and now with a perhaps even stronger pick here in the Viego, such a dominant champion. I mean, I'm looking forward to see what Noodle can do. But on the other hand, Seaboy, I think the Jarvan pick here is brilliant. You are up against a Jhin and a Victor as the two main carries on the enemy team, and neither of them have any way of getting out of a Cataclysm. So if those Jarvan ultis are clutch later on in the game, that can mean just deleting Vanir's big carries as well.
One of whom is Sahira, definitely on performance, and of course on the Victor. Up against Vex, very interesting lane to keep your eyes on, and Fury historically been one of the better mid laners in the NLC. Of course, last split was exceptional. I believe he was on Singularity last time out and looked very, very strong. This time around on a Bifrost team who are looking to compete up at the very top, but stumbled yesterday or on Monday. So will need to pick themselves back up and go for a win here, because going 0-2 in a week for Bifrost would be a big question mark on the credentials of a team that we talk about the Elite Four, but is maybe the team that is the bottom of that, the first enemy in that Elite Four, if you look at them on paper right now.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you right there, although Astralis have not really been impressing us this week either, so for me it's really starting to look more and more like a top two, like X7 and XL being the top two, and then who is the third place behind that? Could it be Bifrost? Is it Astralis? Is it Vanir? I think we're about to find out today who's going to be, who we should consider to be that third strongest team.
I absolutely agree, and I think Vanir have needed to work their way into the conversation, and winning here removes all of the the games in the early season have been easy, or it's early season. I think winning here would silence a lot of those critiques of their credentials going forward. However, losing here would kind of elevate those voices a little bit further. On the other hand, of course, Bifrost needing to get a strong performance in, and already they're finding themselves small leads in gold and getting a little bit of lane advantage where they can. Shikari up in the top side, getting some poke down. Interesting to see what kind of build he wants to go for on this Renekton, because we saw it a couple of games ago, a Renekton build which is all about damage and didn't achieve too much.
Yeah, Prowler's Claw, the really risky choice if you want to go snowballing and try to 1v1 kill your opponent. 1v1 kills onto the Ornn, though, it's going to be really difficult, especially in a game like this where Ornn can pretty much just itemize for armor, knowing that he's going to be up against Vex and Lux as the only two AP champions, and he's not going to be the target of those combos coming in from those champions, so he can basically just stack full armor. So I don't think Shikari is going to be able to do too much in the 1v1 matchup. I guess theoretically you could perhaps try to find some point after you reconnect on level 6 where you can try to dive the top lane, trying to shut down Nili there early, but once he gets even half an item, it's going to be pretty hard to do anything in the top lane. It's just going to be a farm lane right here.
Nile just playing it safe, Noodles around to give him some protection if Shikari does decide to get a little bit frisky up in the top side, but respecting the potential of the gank and respecting the Ornn under tower is the name of the game for Renekton this time around, and we'll just be looking to get some damage down get some poke and maybe look towards getting a plate. But Nile can return the damage a little bit here, and is going to ask Shikari a couple of questions. Sahira moves back into lane after not the most fun time has been had, but has picked up an Amp Tome and that Sapphire Crystal. And the Victor, as we see from Muto last game, can do quite a lot of damage and can be pretty effective. But Fury on the Vex, we all know what this champion's about.
Yeah, for sure. Big carry potential for both of these mid laners. I think Sahira on the Vector has been looking very strong so far in this tournament, pretty much his signature champion. So look forward to see what Sahira can do on this Victor once more. Do you want to comment on the summoner spells right here? Because we did see the TP change quite recently, being a bit of a nerf to the early game power of the teleport. And we've really been, I was really looking forward to seeing how that was going to affect the game. But so far, looking at this tournament, it's not been affecting the game that much because we've been seeing at least 2 TPs pretty much across the board.
This is true, but it does mean that bot laners do get to play the laning phase, which is quite nice rather than being just TP'd onto 4v4 bot at 5 minutes every game, which is, you know, for marksman, that's quite nice. But as you said, it is still being picked up, and it's just a case of top laners and mid laners or marksmen, depending on which champions you're playing down there, just wanting to get back into lane a little bit quicker, taking that easier reset and being more able to move around the map later on, because the late game macro uses of teleport are still very much there. It is just a case of trying to prevent those early stack spot.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, being able to play more aggressive bottom lanes. And speaking of that, the Lux Caitlyn is doing work right here. It's getting down the push, and that is 2 plates actually going already. So yes, you're 1 wave ahead in terms of CS, but those 2 plates are the big thing. And look at the division on the bottom side of the map. This is Bifrost playing really smart around their strength. They know that they need to give their bottom lane a lot of space to make things happen. And that's exactly what they're doing with these wards. I think that's 5 wards on the bottom side in the river and in the enemy jungle. So this Caitlyn Lux knows that they can push up, they can play aggressively, and they've so far been rewarded with those 2 plates, as well as helping their jungler secure the dragon. So lovely to see Bifrost playing properly with the Caitlyn Lux lane, which is not always that easy to do.
Absolutely, and you get a lot of pressure down there, which is, again, something that you gain from not being teleported onto every 4 seconds, but you do open yourselves up for a bit of aggression coming through. But Noodle so far hasn't been able to start anything up. You can now see Odie and Duel moving up towards that top side, want to be here for the spawn of the Rift Herald, which is in a couple of seconds' time, and a little bit of a lead grown by Bifrost. It's only about 500, 600 at the moment, but grabbing this Rift Herald will allow for a little bit of gold to be invested even further, and I don't think Vanir have any opportunity. Top lane has no prio, the bot lane isn't in position, and it should be as simple as that from Bifrost, who will be able to just secure this objective pretty quickly, and a fight might ensue afterwards as Duel puts some poke down onto Noodle, but this time around Vanir very capable of just walking away.
This is just a textbook macro play from Bifrost, playing with a very strong lane that has the pressure. First, you secure the dragon with your strong bottom lane. Then you get the push, so you're able to rotate quicker than your enemy team, and you do the recall timings perfectly. So you arrive to the Rift Herald like 2 seconds before it spawns. That timing was very impressive from Bifrost. And then because you had the push in the bottom lane, you're able to get there earlier than the enemy bot lane. And then that's just 2 free objectives going over to your side with both the dragon and the Rift Herald. So I love what I'm seeing from Bifrost.
It's been, I think textbook's the best way of describing this, because it's not been big flashy plays. It hasn't been flipping or going for something crazy. It's just been, we're going to play out the lanes as you'd expect them to be played out. Interestingly as well, Odie has the Rift Herald, which is something that we've seen a little bit from NLC teams. I believe Bifrost has been one of the main proponents of this, is they want to get Caitlyn ahead. Give her the Rift Herald. Yeah, the flexibility isn't 100% there to move it any lane, but you know that you've got ownership and prio of this bot lane as it is, and Sahira's going to get engaged on nice early flash to keep himself alive, and Fury going to be backing away, but the bot lane's going to get even more out of the hand for Bifrost, and Noodle and Vanir need to react to it somehow.
Look at this mid lane though, Sahira without flash and then Jarvan with ulti. I mean, onto a Victor, if you just ulti the Victor, there's nothing he can do. Seaboy's looking for the bottom lane instead though, but Noodle is here to cover.
A lot of those kill buttons being pressed. Noodle is here. It's a 3v3, but the Rift Herald is going to take a chunk out of this tower, and we're going to have to see the curtain call. Noodle diving on forward. Seaboy is in the wings. Nice knockout come through. But Seaboy can't really get to the fight as Duel will now be the target. Only burning low goes down for first blood as Noodle gets the reset and is now going to start sniping away. Taking a lot of damage though as he dives away, gets on top of Lux, but will be burned out. Fury moves on through. Doesn't have ultimate though. So it's just going to remain a 1-for-1 exchange.
Not sure what Seaboy was doing there. I mean, he was just next to the tower, and then he was not participating in the fight pretty much at all, meaning that Odie did go down in the end, kill going to Noodle. Oh, the dive coming in though.
Really, really nice. Now Quickstep caught in the Cataclysm. The tower goes low, but it won't help him out, and that's another excellent play. Bifrost go from a mediocre play to a great one.
Yeah, great follow-up there. Okay, first let's see what's going to happen on the play right here. You can see Seaboy sort of stuck on the wrong side there. This is some good shanking coming out with both the Lux and the Caitlyn ulti, and then getting the Herald charge. Yeah, that's a lot of gold on the Caitlyn, but then you can see Seaboy being completely out of the fight here. This is a 3v2 pretty much if you're counting the Jhin ulti, and that's enough to just chase her down right there. Then Seaboy coming in with a lot of damage, being able to take the Noodle. Actually, is almost able to turn it onto Duel. But Bifrost in the end, and this is where the play goes from bad to really bad for Vanir, getting dove and double kill there.
Oh, Neil actually going to be called out as well, clearing out vision, and he'll go dark as Shikari picks up his first kill of the game, and Vanir on the bot side want to grab something. It's going to be the dragon for them. Chemtech's second dragon of the game. We'll find out what soul's going to be picked up, but yeah, Vanir just making a couple of mistakes here, and we're going to see the Mountain Soul this time around. But some questions to be asked of them so far, and Bifrost seem to have all the answers.
I mean, speaking of textbook, they got the bottom lane tower, and then they're throwing their Caitlyn Lux into the mid lane. They're going to be starting to chip away at these plates as well. Not going to be super easy to push in versus the Victor, but it does allow Vex versus Jhin in the 1v1 long lane in the bottom side. That's just going to be Vex being able to push in and have completely free pressure right there. So I do like these lane assignments. It looks like, well, they're actually going to go towards the top lane here, probably with the Caitlyn, and then throw Vex into the mid lane. So they are playing around a bit with this. Perhaps they're also looking towards the Herald, which should spawn in about no, it's going to be a bit more than two minutes. So
just hanging around it nonetheless, though. You want to get vision and control, and with Bifrost having all of that throughout this game so far for Vanir, it becomes harder and harder for them to make a proactive play because they're not able to rotate, they're not able to catch people out, and Bifrost are not giving them openings, they're not making mistakes, which is something that we love to see from a team that needs to, both of these teams need to prove their top 4 credentials in this game. This is why it's such a crucial matchup, and right now it's Bifrost who are doing a better job of that, but this fight might prove otherwise. Seaboy able to dive away, no fallout from Vanir. And this is the difference here. Bifrost overextending, managed to fix the issues. But so far when Vanir have done it, deaths have been had.
yeah, for sure. 4 of them going over to Bifrost so far. A couple of them is on a dive there. 3,000 gold lead at this point. Actually, I'm not sure about the towers because you can see the top bar says that Bifrost has 0 towers, but the minimap says the tower is down. So I guess we can't trust that 0. Yeah, you can see Shikari pushing down the bottom lane as well. So we have to confirm that that tower is indeed down.
Yeah, it's definitely not on the map anymore, or Shikari is very overextended with the entire minion wave, but tower plates have now fallen off, and as you say, it's a very dominant lead for Bifrost. Vanir have some late game options, of course. They have strong champions like the Viego, like the Victor. They've got ornaments to be putting on as well once we get nearly to that point, but Bifrost have been performing admirably so far this game, and second Rift Herald should be theirs as well.
Yeah, it's going to be picked up here for free pretty much for Bifrost. Would love to see them use that to crack open mid lane if they were able to get some chunking onto that tower. Perhaps you even get the Caitlyn Lux up onto there, and then you're able to take so much more vision control in the enemy jungle if you have that tower getting taken down. Could also use it towards the top side though, just to get a bit of an injection of gold here. As Quickset goes up to solo defend the tower. This is looking a bit weird. So this is going to take some damage.
Yeah, I don't know if Quicksef was in the right position there. Gets rooted up, and again, just slight positioning errors coming through, and Vanir once again punished. Noodle is thinking about going for a dive or a play or something, but is looking towards Duel, but the Brute, that's a really nice flash from Noodle actually to start this one off. Gets the ultimate, gets the reset, and now gets the CC, which he can use towards Odie, but misses half it and will be removed. It's Caitlyn grabbing that one as Fury dives on forward, tries to get the damage down on Sahira, who flashes away. Will he be able to survive? He will, by the looks of things, as Fury looks around the side. Kevin gets the kill onto Seaboy as he can't get away from the tower. Naturally, that's an winning play for Vanir, 2-1, but I think the tower will even things up.
Wow, that's a greedy play from Seaboy right there. He got cocky thinking that the kill on Sahira was already secured, so he can use the ulti to perhaps secure a second one, but instead they end up getting none of those kills. And as you say, they get away with a 1-for-2, although they do pick up the tower, so I don't think they're too sad. But still, that could have been a lot better for Bifrost.
It could have been better, but it also could have been significantly worse, right? You get the tower, you break open another portion of the map. Now the mid lane one is the only alpha that stands against you. That will really open up the jungle, and it's not going to be too horrible to take when you've got the Lux, you've got the Caitlyn especially, who can siege down, keep waves low, and cause so much threat to the likes of Quicksef, the likes of Kevo, who don't really have a way of escaping this damage. And Vanir looking to try and get in and help defend, but Noodle and Sahira are in a awkward position, being blocked off by the rest of Bifrost, who, once again, just playing very methodically, very carefully, and making sure that the number of mistakes are minimized.
A potential Mountain Soul here could prove to be pretty useful in these team fights, since both these teams really... Oh, here we go for the fight.
Quicksef goes into the backline. This is the fight that they kind of want to take, but Vanir are pretty slow on the uptake, and they're just putting damage down now, but so much is being returned. Sahira's gone down. Vex has got the resets. The Cataclysms comes through. That's a second. That's a third coming through. The snipe is big. It's a quadra for Fury, as Noodle's the only survivor. The resets are big. The Vex is bigger, and Noodle has nowhere to go.
I'm not sure how many times Vex ulted in that fight, but I'm pretty sure it was more than one. Wow, what a fight for Bifrost. I mean, Vanir, they pretty much got down all the CC that they were looking for. Quicksef had a good flash engage with Rakan and then the follow-up from the Ornn, so that was looking good. But the problem is there's no one doing damage throughout that time. I mean, Noodle is pretty strong on the Viego, but as we take a look at the fight once more, I think this initiate is pretty solid from Vanir, but it's just that Sahira and Kevo are not really doing anything. There's like one Victor Laser, one Jin W, but while the entire enemy team is CC'd, Vanir's backline is just zoned away, so they can't do any damage. And then when all of those important cooldowns have already been used, Bifrost can just do pretty much whatever they want. And yeah, those are quite a few Vex ultis going off in that fight as well. And with the Herald, they got both mid lane towers and the Dragon. Bifrost are in such a dominant position right now.
It's looking harder and harder for Vanir, and fights like that do not fill me with confidence, but they do fill the pockets of Vex, who is 5-0-1, even on farm with Sahira, and having an absolutely stellar game alongside the rest of the Bifrost roster, who, aside from maybe one or two missteps, have looked very, very good. The problem for Vanir right now is that the missteps have been too frequent and across too many members, as Kevo wants to step up for the farm but doesn't want to step up to his death, which is wise, considering there's a Lux and a Jarvan in that bush. Kevo, they're being patient for him. The root doesn't go down the ace in the hole. The Lux ult will land, and those two ultimates are not far off from being a one-shot.
That is a lot of damage right there, and you can see how tough it is to play when you're missing both of your mid lane towers. I mean, it's so hard for Vanir to even walk out of their base. They need to be going as a team, and they are doing it right now.
Oh, there's the team fight. Seaboy goes low. They want to try and engage on him before teleport's coming on through. That's the first kill. Noodle gets the reset. Looking maybe to get on top of Fury. Will be able to get towards him, and now ults a second time. Trying to cut Vex down to size. Sahira's there. The stopwatch is burnt, but nothing doing as Sahira grabs the shutdown. This is what Vanir need to do. They grab themselves a couple of picks. What can they get on the back of it?
Big shutdown going over to Sahira there. getting the 5-0 Vex with the kills, and you can see Noodle doing so much damage in these fights. And Bifrost, if you're, I mean, you have been impressing me with your macro play, with your rotation so far, but walking up like that into the enemy jungle without proper vision on where the enemy is, that's going to get you punished. And those couple of kills means that Vanir is really catching up. You can see this is pretty much the support jungle duo going in 2v3, and the immediate teleport is there from Zahira. It is, I believe, a pretty good Lux Q that stops Nilly from reactivating his ulti, but Noodle is strong enough to just chase down 2 people here pretty much and kill them while not taking much damage either way. And let's see how big this shutdown is. 850 gold shutdown going over to the exactly the right member. Zahira getting that on his signature Victor champion. That's what you want to see if you are a Vanir fan. So Zahira might be the one to be able to carry these fights, because as we saw in that earlier fight, Quickset and Nille are good at getting the CC down. They just need the damage to follow it up, and Zahira with a lot of items might be the one to do it.
Could be. He needs to stay alive and he needs to get the support from his team, but as you mentioned, the damage could certainly be there, and Zahira, we know as a player, is certainly capable. But Bifrost calming it down once again, going back to this methodical style of play and maybe looking to pick someone off. Quickset dives away this time around. Objective timers, keep an eye on those. The Baron is up. The Dragon is 1.5 minutes away, and Bifrost, of course, with the first 2 of the first 3, will be the ones towards Soul a little bit quicker. Mountain Soul's not the sexiest of objectives. It's not really a big win con, but it would make these team fights much, much easier for Bifrost.
Yeah, for sure. These fights are going to be pretty explosive. I mean, it's going to be someone getting bursted out, and then Mountain Soul is going to be helping quite a bit for both teams. So I think this is a pretty decent game for the Mountain Soul. However, Bifrost with total vision control, our observers pointing it out really well in this jungle. Control wards and vision wards, maybe those are the same thing, I don't know. Control wards and sight wards, I don't know the language, but they're everywhere.
They change it so frequently, but
yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. We should just call them pink wards.
Yeah, pink wards that are red now, but don't worry about it. I prefer pink wards back in my day, but Vanir just try to clear things out and get themselves in an okay position. Of course, with the Baron being up, there's potential to maybe start looking at that as a handshake or a trade if you see too many members going down towards the Dragon. Of course, you've got objective bounties up now, which is something that Vanir can take advantage of. Moving up towards this tower and cracking it down will get them a little bit of extra gold, which is always going to be useful considering they are a healthy amount behind. But right now it looks like Vanir are just going to look to move into their jungle, giving away this Dragon for free, and I'm not really sure if even with a bounty that tower's worth it.
Yeah, I think you at least commit heavily to the top lane so that you're sure that you get the tower. Okay, Nidley is going to get it. But yeah, free Dragon going over to Bifrost. I like what you're saying about the trading of objectives, being able to perhaps go for the Baron. The thing with Vanir's combo, though, is that they take Baron really slowly. I mean, Jhin is going to be... A Jhin that's quite far behind is still going to do very little damage to the Baron. And while Noodle and Zahira, yeah, that's going to be a pretty decent amount of damage, it's still pretty slow. So Bifrost pretty secure, securing that 3rd Dragon, and they're going to be sieging the tier 2 down in the bottom lane here.
You can see Vanir on the side, maybe trying to get a fight, but they can't get through the choke, and Bifrost able to crack that tower, no problem at all. Can move down, of course. The mid lane has already lost its inner, and I believe the top lane also has, so no, it's still standing there, so there is one tower outside the base that Vanir can still cling on to. How long they can do so will be another question as the resets come through, items are picked up, and Bifrost return to the Rift. Now the question here is, what can Vanir do? What's their option to get back into this game? Because they're down, but the gold lead isn't insurmountable just yet.
Yeah, the gold lead is actually not that big for Bifrost right now, considering how dominant of a grip they got on the map right now. You can see in the mid lane, for example, Zahira almost having caught up with Fury, just about a 500 gold lead there, and Noodle even being ahead in the jungle. The big difference is really the AD carry as well as the support position, but that might not be the most crucial. So I think what Vanir needs to do is get a good engage.
Oh, fight's kicking off as Noodle has to go gold, and Teleport coming up through into the mid lane as Noodle dives away, but Nile has committed. He's going to have to flash out. And resources burnt by Vanir. They don't really gain very much for it. Fourth shot does land on Shikari, but the damage isn't that big. And Vanir, they go for the play. It doesn't really land. Now Bifrost could look to do the same. Quickseth could be called out, but Rakan is pretty slippery and he gets to jog away for now. Baron certainly on the minds of both of these teams, but it looks like Bifrost have control for now.
Yeah, the Lux being able to pick up some fruits in the river there, healing up quite a bit, but that's sort of what Vanir needs to keep doing. I mean, they were not able to pull it off in that situation, but they need to keep going for these engages, because if you're just letting Bifrost siege and push the waves, like you're just going to be slowly losing. You need to make something happen, and they do definitely have the tools to be able to pull it off, especially Quickseth and Nilea. We know they're both strong players. We know Quickseth is a real playmaker on these melee supports, so a Rakan or an Ornn engage at the right situation, that's a ticket for Vanir back into the game, because if you get like a couple of good kills on Sahira and Kevo, or even Noodle, this game is going to be neck and neck in gold once more.
And if you can get back in line in gold, the champions that you look at Vanir's roster of champions, and yeah, Quickseth doesn't have a great time in lane as the Rakan, but the engage is going to be pretty big onto the backline if he can land it, and they have a lot of stuff that scales very, very well, as we've already mentioned. So they have opportunities, but right now it is difficult for them. They need to get those shutdowns, they need to grab some kind of goal to get back on parity, because right now team fighting will be difficult. C-Boy searching for an engage, but won't be able to find one this time around.
I'm looking for what item Nili has chosen to upgrade here, and it's just me, or does it look like he's upgraded Quickseth's boots? Like, that's... You're not supposed to be able to do that. I don't understand what's going on there. Something weird with Ornn items is going on for sure.
Yeah, you know, that's... Just keep your eyes on it, see what happens. The HUD has been a little bit interesting in Season 12 so far, in-game and in Observer, but Bifrost are putting out a line. They've got a fish on the end of a hook, and they want to try and bait. It depends whether Vanir will fall for it. They're going to throw some poke down and say, we know exactly what's going on, please leave us alone. But Dragon up in a minute. This will give Soul. Again, it's a good Soul to get, but it's not a game-winning one, as the engage comes on for a catching Noodle. Could be massive. Shikari looks at the backline. There's the Cataclysm as Vanir are run out of town. Kevo is chased back, takes a lot of damage as they try and turn it around. Nile, actually in the middle of the enemy team, gets melted through because he can't get on top of Shikari, who goes golden. And yeah, the fourth shot won't land, but it just doesn't matter. Bifrost survive as 5 and can move towards the objectives.
That looking really strong. Bifrost is going to be recalling Shikari and Fury here and then TPing in. Or maybe it's just going to be Shikari who's going to go for that. But speaking of Fury, Vex just so insanely strong in these big team fights when she's able to get those resets and then get it like a free passage into the enemy backline and getting a full combo there, pretty much chunking them out. So look at Fury here. First setting up the play onto Noodle, where he's just getting caught out and dying before the fight even starts, and then being able to ulti into the back. And here's Sahira flashing while Fury was following him with the Vex ulti. So yeah, Vanir are sort of far behind, but it's also Bifrost playing these fights pretty damn well, and they are going to be rewarded with a Baron here, I believe. It's been taken, though Vanir were able to sneak away the Dragon at the same time, so that is at least a small win for Vanir.
Yeah, they are able to deny that Soul for 5 minutes longer with the Baron up, and with Bifrost already having taken a lot of resources. Question has to be asked, will Vanir be alive when the next Dragon spawns? These are sadly the questions that are going to have to be asked of Vanir, but they're looking to maybe catch up Fury as he goes forward, but they will be spotted out. Nice on coming from Quickseth. They want to get the dive down, but Shikari is there. Dominus trying to keep the Yordle alive and really causing a ruckus as Odie now comes in. Duel is here as well, and the skirmish turns into a fight. But Fury stays alive.
That's what happens when you go for the catch-up, but you have no one of your damage dealers there. Noodle is not really that far behind, but it's not a big damage dealer at this point, so they were CC chaining Fury for a really long time, and he's sort of a squishy Vex, but barely got her to half HP using all of those abilities. They are going to be able to save their own tower here with the curtain call. Some other things, though. This might be the fight, though. There's a Shunk coming out of Duel. He's looking pretty strong on this Lux.
Noodle has to stumble back to base. We'll be able to return pretty quickly because it's right next door, but the tower falls while he's gone. Inhibitor is taking a beating as well and may well crumble as the engage. The Corn has been called as Fury will go golden, dodging out away from the ultimate as damage coming on through from all sides. A decent amount coming in, but Vanir are being melted away. They will be able to catch out Fury as Sahira runs for the mid lane. Quickstep is there, but he's the only one left alive to stand by him. It's a 4v2 defense with Baron empowered minions crumbling towards the Nexus. Jumping on Sahira gets burst, and it will just be Quickstep standing on the fountain steps, watching his base get demolished. And just like that, Bifrost, they're going to silence the haters. They're going to silence the critics. Vanir cannot find the win. They're sent back to Pallet Town in a body bag as Bifrost pick up the victory.
Vanir, you had a good run. You got Sahira on his big carry. You had the